Salute to the LGBT community. Let's have this uncomfortable conversation. First of all, I don't have any hate towards any particular groups or community. I welcome everybody, so as long as you don't bother me, you don't try to hurt my family, I welcome all groups and all walks of life. But the LGBT community, you have to start taking your community with accountability. You gotta hold these individuals accountable, man. I'm seeing a lot of ruthless things on the internet, and I'm gonna bring up a lot. I didn't script this. I didn't write this up. It's just things in my mind. I've been told time and time again that people are born this way or born like this. I'm not a doctor. I'm not about to get in that uncomfortable conversation and debate. What I will debate is people's moral compass and people utilizing their situations and titles to take advantage of other disenfranchised human beings who don't have this power that's back to protect us, i.e. meaning that you can't engage in any arguments or conversations with anybody that's part of the LGBT community, because if I have a difference of opinion with any of you guys, I would be deemed a hate monger. I would be deemed someone who's against you guys, someone who's trying to stop you from whatever you claim I'm trying to stop you from, or anybody else who have my outlooks and output. We may disagree on your way of life and what you choose to do in your sexual situations in bed, but it doesn't mean I don't look at you as a brother or as a sister. I still look at you as friends and all that. It's just that, man, it is tough. It is tough to be around groups of people who literally tell me one thing, but then I see other people who don't get called out. I see people who are doing things like educational purpose, dressing up. Well, maybe that's your life and that's what your gender is, but school shouldn't be in a position, in a place where people get to parade around in clothing in front of little kids. I don't care if they're heterosexual. I don't care if they're part of the LGBT community. Kids should always be off limit to what grown-ups are doing, or the spectacular of the frenzies in, okay, this is a debate. I want to incorporate these kids into, what a trans is and what. Bro, I feel like you got to leave that to the parents, man. That is not right, bro. You got to leave that to the parents. You think a heterosexual person can come to my kids and teach them about sex or why I'm heterosexual or their mom heterosexual? That would still be the same outrage that I'll have. It's not about if you're LGBT or not. It's about when did we start throwing these things to our kids, man. I talked to a LGBT person before, and they agreed with me emphatically. Leave the school systems at all the way in, I think it was in Germany, or I don't know if it was Germany or Czech Republic, but it's happening everywhere where several groups of kids were sitting down and on stage they had trans educational purpose be naked. This is an actual article. I'll put it there, the article, not the actual video. You can go find the video yourself. They said it exists, but I have no idea if the video exists. But they said these individuals were naked and they allowed them to be naked in front of the kids so the kids can understand what a trans life. Look, let's just stop being around the bush. Nobody needs to go in details and become doctors and research with these kids. In other words, my kids aren't in any research study groups to find out the sexual origins of a trans versus a heterosexual male. It's the same organs and it's the same situation of the biological makeup, meaning that what's the whole point of this? Is there some type of agenda to force kids into that way of life? Because you're telling me one thing, people are born this way. So if people are born this way, why force it upon people? Why act like there's a group of people out here stopping you from loving who you want to love? I just don't see it. I'm outside right now. I'm in the public. In fact, people rather not want to know about your business and what you do with another human being in bed. I mean, it seems like even during Pride Day, it's like it's Pride Day every day. I don't get it. How can people accept a certain community or show love towards that community when every day that community is claiming that they're hurt, they're victims? And I'm not out here to spew anything against you claiming that you're a victim of whatever. I'm just saying every day I see this organization of the LGBT community, I see parties. I see Pride Day every day, like a celebration for everything. In the hockey league, the NHL, there were several players who didn't want to wear the pride rainbow during warm-ups. And they said that's their religious belief, but they love people in that community. They love everybody. They just feel like they don't want nobody to infringe on their spiritual beliefs. And that's exactly what's happening, because now the media took all the names of the players who didn't want to wear the pride rainbow, even though they already said countless times they have nothing against the LGBT community. They give back to actually organizations of youths who are LGBT so they can be protected, defended, and feel comfortable. So these men went out their way to show they love their brothers and sisters in arms in this entire nation or in this entire world. But what did the media do? The media took all their names and plastered it in front of everybody who didn't want to put on the pride rainbow. They didn't say anything hatred. They didn't say anything. So what is the LGBT community really about, in my personal opinion? Is it about to ostracize and expose anybody who don't believe in your way? That's being a bully, man. And if you're part of the LGBT community, you should call that out. These journalists aren't even journalists anymore. It's like a witch hunt to see who doesn't support the rainbow, who doesn't want, and that's not necessarily true. I used to love the rainbow. The rainbow to me was about the multitudes of colors that had nothing to do with human beings in my eyes. It had to do with everything, that there's a creator out there, even if you believe in God or not. When I seen that rainbow growing up, it was like, man, after the storm, you feel me? After that rain comes through and the world feels a little bit gleamy right now, you can look at that rainbow and feel some type of energy is there and some type of love is there. But now it's been hijacked. Now, anytime somebody even brings up a rainbow, we all know what it's in reference to. That's not fair, man. My kids, they can't even get that same joy in knowing what that rainbow used to stand for. It's like humans will hijack anything and make it for their reasoning. Look, I don't want to know about someone's sexual desires and what your sexual behavior in bed is. My kids shouldn't be acknowledged to that too. You don't see anybody heterosexual out there preaching, we need to have this day or that day. I mean, it's beginning to be a point where heterosexual people should have their own day. You know what I mean? And I could care less about heterosexuals having their own day or LGBT, but it's fair. We're gonna live in a weird society, and I don't mean weird as far as what someone's orientation is, but weird where people force their way of life and on other people. Because now you're playing a dangerous game. You're trying to make sure someone doesn't eat, doesn't have a life, all because you picked this or you were born that way. I personally don't believe nobody was born that way, but you have a right to say people are born that way. Now, my belief is my belief. I'm not out here spreading misinformation and saying that's an actual fact. People aren't born that way. I'm just going off what I feel. And I feel they aren't, but I'm not out here doing videos about who was born this way and who wasn't. I'm even scared to speak about this subject. Now, I'm going to see if I'm correct or not. I'm going to see if YouTube is going to stop this video or going to monetize it or not. I didn't use one curse word. I didn't disrespect anybody. This video will be used as an experiment to see if it's true that you can't even speak on any topic, issues related to LGBT if you're not LGBT. And it's almost unfair, but an LGBT member can quote and worry about every other people in society that's not part of their community. So what it is, man, what do you want? I thought rights was being given to all people in the LGBT communities already. What is this fight about? Tell me, why are you angry? Forget about outlash of rage and all this frustration. Let's have a civil discourse and a conversation here. What do you want? Do you want me to force my kids to look at how you sleep in bed? Who are you, mating with? Like, I don't even make them worry about mom and dad when we're doing our grown-up things. Why do my kids have to be involved in all of this? Why does all the kids' literature books have to explain about the LGBT and all X, Y, and Z? That's not fair. If like we're not talking about sexual situations with kids in school, so why do we have to get into that as far as the a trans biological makeup? Why does my kids need to be subjugated to that? And this is why I'm going to put my kids back in private school, man. Like, I feel like the LGBT needs to hold their own and accountable. I just seen a video on World Star today where they're exposing Kevin Gates, and it's a trans woman laughing about her situation. You want me to believe you love yourself and your community is God-given, meaning you were born like this. This is the way life is. I'm willing to accept it if you stop doing, if you start calling your own out, meaning that why is this trans woman on air exposing Kevin Gates? I don't even believe her story about Kevin Gates, but let's pretend it's true. What would be her purpose to go on that television show and speak up on a sexual situation with her and Kevin Gates, unless if she realized her being a trans woman is a potential bag that she can get and she can extort somebody, or she can use it to denigrate that person to show, ew, he's been with a he's been with a trans. Like, it's like you don't even believe in what you fight for when you stay quiet to others who are doing that to people. Like, notice how many celebrities who's been exposed by this LGBT community group, and no one in that group calls them out. That should be called out. That's a form of assault in my eyes. That's a form of, I don't want to use the word, but it's a form of terror being used to terrorize an individual. Factual. But then that same trans woman who just exposed Kevin Gates would come during this debate with me and you guys and speak against it in a way of, look, the world is against us. We need our rights, X, Y, and Z. So I'm just confused about this whole thing. This video was not made to speak down on anybody. It was just to say we need to be grown-ups and have accountability, man, because now you're exposing hockey players who don't want to wear a rainbow patch because it goes against what they believe in. Even though they're not hating on you, they're not stopping you. Why are you exposing their names on who don't want to be part of the rainbow groups? That's crazy to me. It's like a mafia now. It's become a hunt for whoever identifies with being heterosexual. They're no good to the world, according to the LGBT community. If you are heterosexual, you are just no good. If you have any disagreement in my way of life, you just need to be thrown out. This is the gist of what I'm getting from this community. I don't know if anybody in part of that community, I would love to have a debate with y'all on my channel in front of everybody, just so we can make sense of this. YouTube, I followed your guidelines and your rules, even though YouTube has been demonetizing a couple of my videos that doesn't even speak on these issues, that doesn't even disrespect anybody. But I already know you have a certain group of people you can't say anything about, even though if it's in a professional manner or at all, you can't speak about them. This video probably won't even get views because of the subject, and it's a touchy subject. But I see other people who are allowed to have these same topics and go deep into it. But me, even though I'm being nice to it, I don't know, man. Look, that's why I tell all the videos, love your family, love your kids, and stay blessed.